Okay, so we finished our series, our relationship series.
And
this morning I've got a standalone message, meaning it's only 1 week.
And
I'm going to be preaching on the topic of pornography. Now some of you might feel ambushed right now. You're like, oh, he's got us. Some of you have small kids on your laps that you might think this is inappropriate for them. As I mentioned, we do have kids ministry upstairs if you want to, or you can take them outside if you would like to. If you've got older children, I would encourage you to let them sit through this message. I think this might be a wonderful opportunity to start those conversations. And out of this, you can speak more about this topic. And so this morning, feel empowered as a parent, or even as an individual, to leave whenever you want to. You are not locked in here. I don't want you to feel ambushed. Okay, and this morning the way I want to preach is I want to just answer questions around this topic. And you might say, come on, I came to church. Why are you talking about pornography? The reason is I hate it. God hates it. I've hated what it's done to other people. I've hated what it's done in my life. Scripture speaks about it. This topic of sexual immorality. And as God's people, we need to look at the darkness that is in our world. And we need to see how God sees it and how God calls us to respond to it. As God's people, we shouldn't avoid these things. Oh no, we can't talk about that. Let's just leave that. Pornography is a worldwide issue. And it's growing in strength and reach. You might think, oh, well, pornography's been around relatively recently. It's only come into being. But nothing could be further from the truth. Very early, like the first arts that we see of sculptures and cave drawings often depict sexual acts. And you only have to read the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, to see that sexual immorality has always existed. We see fornication, which means people having sex that aren't married. Adultery, homosexuality, prostitution, and rape. Only in the first few chapters of Genesis. We see that this God-given gift from God to be enjoyed between two people who are married has been exploited and corrupted. It's a topic that many people in this room have possibly struggled with in the past. Some people in the room might be currently struggling with this. Others might be asking, how this speaks to our faith. What does God think about
Ny
this?
sasa mety manontany hoe inona ny idiran'izany amin'ny finoanahy ahoana inona ny zavatra lazain'Andriamanitra manoloana n'izany.
Some of you might be sitting here and going, I don't even know what that is. I've never been exposed to
Ny
it.
sasany amintsika hoe fa inona zany resahan'ilay zany ohatrany tsy mbola maharaka an'izany mihitsy aho.
And if that's you, count it as a wonderful blessing that you're in that boat.
Dia raha ianao zany araisy hoe fitahiana mihitsy hoe tsy ao anatin'ilay mahafantatra an'ilay izy ianao.
And my prayer is that by listening to this message, you would see the damage that it can cause, and don't go looking for it.
Dia ny tena vavaka angatahako amin'Andriamanitra teo anatin'ity fitenenana ity ianao ahita hoe inona ny voka-dratsiny zany ary zany nitarika anao tsy vao may hijery amin'ny izy.
It's a topic that very few people talk about.
Dia io lohahevitra ihany koa olona tsy tena resahan'ny olona zany izy io raha ny tena marina.
It's a secret and deadly sin.
Satria izy tena sady fahotana miafina nefa mahafaty manino.
And although you might not be struggling with it, or maybe you haven't in the past, potentially one day somebody comes and confides in you.
Mety misy mety hoe mbola tsy ao anatin'ilay izy ianao na tsy voafatoko ilay izy any aliana any mety misy olona hiresaka aminao mety hoe mitantara aminao izy manana olana.
Be it your kids or friends or family, they come and talk to you and they say, what do you think about
Mety hoe ny
this?
zanakao na ny mamanao ny tena amin'ny ahoana ny fahitanareo an'izao.
So continuing on this line of questioning,
Zany hoe ao anatin'izay fanontaniana mipetraka izay ihany.
what is pornography? What are we talking about?
Inona ary izay resahantsika izay inona ny atao hoe pornographie.
It may not be clear to some what I'm speaking about.
Mety tsy tena mazava tsara ny sasany angamba ny zavatra resahana.
So I'd hate for us to leave and you to go, what is pornography? You know?
Dia tsy tiakonareo zany rehefa vete ina mano zany pornographie zany.
Also, some of us may be consuming material that we're like, nah, I'm not sure if that falls under the pornography category.
Dia ngamba ny sasany amintsika koa mety misy zavatra ampiasaintsika na jerevantsika dia zany angamba ity tsy ao anatin'ilay pornographie ngamba ity.
So here's a dictionary definition. Pornography or porn
Dia hoe ny dikan'ny pornographie
refers to sexually explicit videos, photographs, writing,
dia miresaka ny amin'ny hoe vidéo mamofady na sary mamofady na écriture mamofady
or such like things,
na zavatra tahaka an'izany
whose purpose is to arouse or give sexual pleasure.
dia ny tena tanjona izy dia hoe ny amelona ny filatsika ara-nofo.
This thing of pornography is a huge issue in our generation, or in our culture.
Dia eto amin'ny kolontsaintsika sy ny taranaka misy atsika dia tena mibahatoerana be ny pornographie.
It's a worldwide epidemic.
Zany hoe tena aretina manerana azo izao io.
There's a website, it's called fightthenewdrug.org.
Dia misy hoe site web zay hoe fightthenewdrug.org.
It's a wonderful description. It's a new drug.
Tena hoe rongony vaovao izy io.
It's one that actually we don't know what the long-term ramifications of it are.
Tsy fantatritsika zany inona voka-dratsy ateraka izay eo amin'ny fiainantsika.
It's addictive and it's wreaking havoc in so many lives,
Sady masarika ilay izy no miteraka fanombana eo amin'ny fiainana.
especially our youth.
Indrindrindrindra eo amin'ny fiainan'ny tanora.
Young people who are being exposed to this way earlier than few past generations were exposed to it.
Ny tanora indrindrindrindra amin'izao fotoana izao lasa tonga loatra ilay fahafantarana an'izy no ny olona efa taloha.
Now why? Why do I say it's so dangerous?
Dina mahatonga anao teny hoe tena mampidi-doza io.
It's like a drug, it's addictive.
Satria tahaka ny rongony tena hoe addictif.
And lots of people describe it with, in English it's 3 A's.
Dia
3 words that start with an A, so it's not
dia
translated.
teny anglisy ilay izy mitondra ny fatomboan'ny teny anankitelo.
3 things to describe why it's so addictive.
Fa zavatra anankitelo zany amaritana inona mahatonga an'ilay izy mahasarika loatra.
Why this drug is so dangerous.
Fa manino io rongony anankiray io no tena hoe mampidi-doza.
The first thing is accessibility.
Dia voalohany indrindra no satria accessible ilay izy.
Years back, there was a lot less material than there is now.
Tany aloha tany vitsikely ny materiel ahitana azy.
Now, I don't know how it was in Malagasy culture, but in South Africa, and I'm assuming around the world,
Dia tsy haiko ny eto Madagasikara fa tany Afrika Atsimo sany amin'izao tontolo izao
years ago, if you wanted to get your hands on pornographic material, you had to go into a dodgy area of town.
raha ohatra ianao te hijery pornographie dia mila misikosikotra any anaty toerana maizimaizina any ianao mahita anazy
Or you had to go to the corner shop and kind of hope that nobody sees you.
na mandeha eny amin'ny tsena miafokafondreny ianao dia sady miafina ihany mba tsisy ahita.
And then you'd take something off the shelf, be it a video, and kind of you would have to face this shopkeeper to actually pay for it. You ran the risk of running into somebody you knew. You were embarrassed because you had to face somebody to get it. And that was often enough for us not to go there. But then the internet came. With the launch of the internet, it just wreaked havoc with this thing of pornography. And don't be fooled. Don't think that you have to have a computer to access it. If you've got a smartphone with internet capability, you've got access to porn straight in your back pocket. So accessibility, it is so easy to get your hands on. Affordability is the next thing that makes it dangerous. It's pretty much free. I mean, yes, you pay for data, but it's free. If you've got a connection, or yes, you're paying for the internet, but you're not paying for the content that you're consuming. The porn industry is a $3 billion industry. And what they do is they put out a lot of free material to get you hooked. And as your mind degrades and you're wanting something more for that thrill, you end up paying for it. But in terms of affordability, there is so much on the internet that is free. You can be addicted for a long time on just the free material that is available. Accessibility, affordability, anonymity. Anonymous, you can do it anonymously. Sorry. I'm not marketing it. So anonymous, you can do it anonymously. You don't have to face that shopkeeper. You don't have to run the risk of bumping into somebody. There's people that consume, there's a strong sense of being able to hide it from other people. Other addictions, you can pick up on people. If it's alcohol or drugs, you can smell it on their breath. You can smell it on their clothes. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their behavior if they're stumbling. And if it's drugs, you can see the way they're interacting. But pornography's addiction is an addiction that can be hidden very easily. It's anonymous, and so it's very dangerous. Now, before we carry on, I just want to say some misconceptions, because you might be sitting there with preconceived ideas of this problem. And I want to disperse some of those. Firstly, you might be sitting there and going, I'm the only one struggling with this. Blake's picking on me this morning. No, I'm not. You are not alone. Way more people struggle with this problem than you think. There was research conducted by Barna
dia nisy recherche nataony Barna zay a
And in 2016,
tamin'ny 2016 a
it was an American study, but I think a lot of it can be applied to even our country.
dia fikarohana tany Amerika izy fa afaka ampiarina ato amintsika ihany koa.
In 2016 in America, 65% of men said that they use pornography on a monthly basis.
Tamin'ny 2016 a miteny fa ny 5.5 isanjaton'ny lehilahy dia mijery pornographie.
30% of women.
Dia ny 3 isanjaton'ny vehivavy.
And how's this? It didn't actually get much better in the church either that they researched.
Dia na dia natao ary ilay fikarohana tsy hoe tsara kokoa ilay izy tany am-piangonana.
64% of men and 15% of women in church.
Dia any am-piangonana ny lehilahy 64% sy vehivavy 40% voafatotra io.
Consuming pornography on a monthly basis.
Zany hoe isam-bolana zany tena hoe mandany fotoana ao anatin'ny pornografia.
Second misconception.
Dia ny hevitra diso faharoa.
This is something that only men deal with.
Dia ity zany le olan'ny lehilahy ihany zany.
No, it's not.
Tsy zany.
Women struggle with this too.
Ny vehivavy ihany koa dia voafatotra ao anatin'le izy.
33% of searches for pornography on the internet are made by women.
Dia ny 33% ny fikarohana ao amin'ny internet dia ny vehivavy no tena mikaroka azy.
Third misconception.
Hevitra diso fahatelo.
I can handle this on my own.
Za ihany mavita miala amin'io.
This is my own personal struggle. I can do this. I can push through.
Olanako manokana hoe afaka hiadivako io za ihany matavavokana ao anatin'io.
The shame and the guilt that this sin brings leads us to isolate ourselves.
Ny fahasambaraka sy ny henatra anisan'ny entiny fahotana anankiray io a dia mitarika antsika lasa hitokana.
And so most people that are struggling with this sin do it on their own.
Dia ny akamaroan'ny olona sahirana ao anatin'io dia hoe izy rery ianasa olona mandeharery izy.
And I would assume that in Malagasy culture it's even more.
Dia za mieritreritra eto amin'ny kolotsaintsika malagasy izy mety vao mainka mbola lehibe lavitra noho izay.
You don't want to bring shame on your family.
Tsy tianao ianao hananabaraka amin'ny fianakavianao a.
You don't want to bring shame on yourself.
Tsy tianao ianao hananabaraka tena.
And so to confide in somebody is not even an option.
Dia hoe ianao andeha hitsotra many ohatran'ny hoe hiaika amin'ny olona hafa ianao zany tsy ho ataonao mihitsy zany.
But the reality is you can't do it alone.
Fa ny tena marina rehefa tsy vitanao rery ny miala amin'io.
You can't fight alone.
Tsy afaka miady rery ianao.
I'm going to get to the end as to what you can do, but I want to say I have the most respect for people who have admitted that they've got a problem with this.
Fa za tena mankasitraka sy mananja ny olona tena hoe miaiky izy hoe manana olana amin'izay famatorana anankiray izay.
Where they no longer keep it a secret but bring it into the light.
Hoe tsy nataony miafina intsony ilay izy fa netiny teo amin'ny mazava.
Fourth misconception.
Hevitra fahaefatra diso.
It's not hurting anyone.
Tsy manimbanizana izy io, tsy makasika izan'izy.
It doesn't hurt anyone. I look at porn, but it's not hurting anybody.
Za mijery porno tsy misy idiran'olo kafa ilay izy, tsy misy olona maratra an'ilay izy.
But it's a lie. It's a lie.
Fa lainga ihany koa zay.
1 Corinthians 6:18
Korintiana voalohany toko fahaenina fahavalo ambin'ny folo
tells us that we're hurting our own bodies.
Dia miteny izy hoe manimba ny tenantsika isika.
It says, flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body.
Manosira ny fitsangajangana izay fahotana rehetra ataon'ny olona dia ny ivelan'ny tena ihany, fa ny fitsangajanga kosa dia manota miatra amin'ny tenany.
You sin against yourself.
Zany hoe ny tenanao no anotanao mivantana.
Psalm 51:4 says that it hurts God.
Dia Salamo 1:5 dia miteny hoe mampalahelo an'Andriamanitra.
Against you only have I sinned and done what is evil in your sight.
Taminao dia taminao ihany no nanotako izay ratsy hoe masonao no efa natao.
It hurts God.
Mampalahelo an'Andriamanitra.
He's grieved when we indulge in pornography.
Tena hoe malahelo Andriamanitra rehefa tafalatsaka ao anatin'ny pornografia ianao.
It'll hurt your spouse and it'll damage your marriage when your wife finds out.
Raha fantatra ny vadinao hoe ianao fa mijery pornografia dia sady mandratra anazy no animba sanakorotana ny fanambadianao zany.
It hurts your parents when they find out.
Mampakivy ny ray aman-dreninao no mahafantatra fa ianao tafalatsaka ao anatin'ny pornografia.
The porn industry is an industry that degrades and exploits and hurts women.
Ny industria pornografia dia manambany sy manimba sy mampalahelo ny vehivavy.
And by consuming that material, you are supporting that industry.
dia rehefa mandany rehefa miditra ao anatin'io ianao dia ianao zany anisan'ny manohana an'izay industrie zay.
And it's shaping our generation's expectations of sex and marriage.
Dia manimba sy mandrava ny fahitan'ny taranaka isika ny amin'ny hoe firaisana ranofo sy ny fanambadiana le izy.
Now you might be saying, sitting there and going, I'm still not convinced that it's that bad.
Mety mipetraketra anao dia miteny mbola tsy resy lahatra hoe ratsy tahaka izany le izy.
I'm not sure it's that harmful.
Tsy sura hoe tena manimba tokoa io.
Maybe you're sitting out there and going, Blake, your mind, you're not as progressive as we are.
Ngamy ianao mety mipetraketra zany hoe Blake atara loatra ianao.
It's freedom and you know, it's art or whatever you want to say.
Sady ara le izy no tsy haiko ny fahafahana sy tianao tenena.
So I've looked at what it is and some misconceptions.
Dia jereko teo hoe inona le izy dia inona ny hevitra diso momba an'izay.
I want to focus on what pornography does to you.
Dia tiako resahana eto hoe inona ny voka-dratsy, inona ny zavatra teraky ny pornografia eo amin'ny fiainanao.
Why is it so devastating?
Fa maninona ny tena hoe manimba sy mandrava le izy.
What about 4 things?
Dia manana zavatra efatra.
The first thing is that it sears your conscience.
Ny voalohany indrindra aloha dia mandoro ny fieritreretanao le izy.
What is our conscience?
Inona ny fieritreretantsika?
Our conscience is like an alarm bell
Ny fieritreretana dia tahaka hoe lakilosy fanairana.
that helps us navigate what is right and wrong.
Manampy antsika fantatra hoe inona ny tsara sy inona ny ratsy.
Romans 2:12.
Romana 12:12.
It says this, they show that the requirements of the law are written on their hearts, their consciences also bearing witness.
Hoe fa ireo maneho ny asan'ny lalàna voasoratra ao ambony sady ny fieritreretany no vavolombelona.
So your conscience defends you when you're right.
Zany hoe ny fieritreretanao zany mandresy miaro anao rehefa mety ny zavatra ataonao.
And it accuses you when you're wrong.
Dia ny fieritreretanao no miapanga anao rehefa manao tsy mety ianao.
So when you do something inappropriate, the little alarm goes off.
Rehefa ohatra ianao manao zavatra tsy mety ohatra dia lasa mandeha le lakilosy fanairana iny.
That's wrong.
Tsy mety io
Don't do this.
aza manao an'io.
You're married.
Manambady ani ianao hoe.
You've got kids.
Mananjanaka ani ianao
This
hoe.
is not going to please God.
Tsy hahafaly an'Andriamanitra ny anaovanao an'io
But what if you just continue to violate that thing?
Dia rehefa tohizanao nefa manohatra n'iny feo amin'ny fieritreretanao iny
What if you continue to do this?
rehefa mbola mitohy manao an'ilay izy ihany ianao
You become callous and hard.
dia lasa sady mafilo ianao tsy misy fiantraikany intsony.
It's like who of us have snooze buttons on our alarm?
Izy amintsika manana le bouton snooze iny ao anatin'ny alarmantsika amin'ny telefônina.
Okay? Most telephones have it. It gives you however many minutes you want to snooze.
Ny ankamaroan'ny telefônina misy an'izy rehefa maneno rehefa ianao dia potserinao le snooze dia mbola misy minitra vitsivitsy afaka torizanao avy eo.
Now how many of us have gone snooze?
Dia firy amintsika maneno le izy dia snoozentsika fotsiny.
And snooze again, and snooze again, and snooze again.
Snooze eo tsika indroa intelo.
Next you've been snoozing for an hour.
Dia rehefa avy eo le snoozenao nandritra ny adiny efatra ianao mamono rivay fotsiny.
And you barely heard that alarm the whole time. You've just been, you haven't heard that alarm.
Dia raha ny tena marina ohatry hoe tsy tianao ianona akory le rivay anao rehefa maneno.
You've just been pressing the snooze button.
Potserinao fotsiny le bouton snooze.
That's what I mean by searing your conscience.
Dia izay tiako tenenana hoe mandoro an'ny fieritreretana.
1 Timothy 4:2.
Timoty voalohany toko fahaefatra andiny faharoa.
It says it speaks about teachers who are hypocritical liars, whose conscience have been seared as with a hot iron.
Miresaka amin'ny fiatsaram-belatsia mpilaza lainga ka voapetaky ny vy mahamainy fieritreretana.
When your conscience has been seared and that alarm isn't working in your life anymore,
Rehefa nidorana le feon'ny fieritreretanao dia nefa ran'le alarmanao le lakilosy fanairanao iny tsy henonao intsony iny rehefa maneno.
you're in a dangerous place.
Dia ao anatina toerana tena mampidi-doza ianao amin'izay fotoan'izay.
Secondly, it robs you of your intimacy with God.
Faharoa, mangalatra ny fifandraisanao akaiky amin'Andriamanitra ihany koa io.
We were singing this morning, God, and praying, God be our treasure.
Ny vavaka izay tambarany Andriamanitra hoe ianao no harenanay.
We sang, your presence is heaven for me.
Ny hiritsika hoe ny fanatrehanao lanitra ho ahy.
The reality is that pornography robs us of that.
Dia ny tena marina ny pornografia mangalatra amin'izay fifalitsika izay.
It doesn't only damage your conscience, it damages your relationship
Tsy
with God.
manimba ny fieritreretanao fotsiny ny pornografia fa sady manimba ny fifandraisanao amin'Andriamanitra ihany koa.
1 John 1.
Jona voalohany toko voalohany
verse 5.
andiny fadimy.
God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. If we claim to have fellowship with him and yet walk in darkness, we lie and do not live out the truth.
Hoe Andriamanitra dia mazava ary tsy misy maizina koa reo aminy. Ty andiny faheniny.
Sorry, 1 John 5.
Jona voalohany toko voalohany andiny fadimy sy faheniny. Hoe ary Andriamanitra izy teo
God is light, yeah.
izay milaza fa mitoetra ao aminy izy dia tsy maintsy mandeha toy izay nandehanana.
If you engage in these deeds of darkness,
raha ohatra tsika mitafiditra ao anatin'ilay asan'ny maizina,
pornography,
ny pornographie,
it breaks our fellowship with God.
dia mandrava manimba ny fifandraisantsika amin'Andriamanitra.
It's simple. Light and darkness don't mix.
Tsotra be mihitsy hoe ny fahazavana sy ny aizina tsy mifangaro.
And if we expect to walk close to God, then we can't have any darkness in our lives.
Dia raha mananteny ianao ny hanadia akaiky amin'Andriamanitra dia afaka mananteny ianao hoe tsisy aizina eo amin'ny fiainanao.
It also affects our relationship with God in that it hardens our heart.
Dia tena hoe manimba n'izay fifandraisantsika amin'Andriamanitra ihany koa manamafy ny fontsika.
The Bible speaks of when we come to Christ, He takes away our heart of stone and He gives us a heart of flesh.
Ny Baiboly dia manambarana amin'ny hoe rehefa nanaiky an'i Jesosy Kristy ho tombo isika dia izy nanova ny fontsika izay vato ho tonga fonofo.
A heart that is soft to the things of God.
Izany hoe fo malefaka ny amin'ny zavatr'Andriamanitra.
A heart that is receptive to Him.
Fo izay mandray an'Andriamanitra.
And as we go back to pornography, as we satisfy this lustful craving,
dia rehefa miverina amin'ny pornografie tsika miezaka mamoky ny anohanantsika ranofo,
our heart hardens.
dia miamafy ihany koa ny fontsika.
It becomes callous,
Lasa tsy miraharaha tsika, lasa tsy mivaky loha,
impenetrable,
lasa tsisy afaka miditra ao anatin'ny tsony.
and we feel distant from God.
Dia lasa matsapy tsika hoe mialavitra an'Andriamanitra.
God is always there, but we feel distant.
Andriamanitra eo foana fa ianao no matsapa hoe lavitra an'Andriamanitra.
Because Satan knows what you're doing, and he jumps on that thing, and he makes you feel so guilty for it.
Satria fantatry dia votsara ny zavatra ataonao ary anarotiny miampangananao.
He brings condemnation, he brings guilt,
Tondra fanamelohana izy, miampanganao izy.
and you disqualify yourself.
Dia ianao rehefa avy eo lasa manamero tena.
How can I share the gospel with this person if I looked at pornography last night?
Ahoana ny afahako mizara ny filazantsara amin'ity olo ity nefa zara mbola vao nijery pornografie teo.
How can I speak to people about their sin and be trying to be holy before holy God if I'm struggling with this thing?
Ahoana ny afahako miteny amin'olona hoe mila masina izy, mila mibebaka izy, nefa zara vao io mbola vao fatoky ny fahotana io.
We feel disqualified and we end up living a two-faced life with God.
Lasa mahatsapy ianao zany hoe disqualifie, dia lasa manana endrika ana olona anankiroa samihafa ianao.
We become critical,
Lasa olona pitsikely
and
ianao
there's no joy in our relationship
dia
with
tsy
God.
misy fifangina eo amin'ny fifandraisanao amin'Andriamanitra.
30. It blinds us to other sin in our lives.
Fahatelo, manajamba antsika tsy ahitany fahotana hafa eo amin'ny fiainantsika.
Those of us who if you are struggling with the sin, you know that it's a big thing in your life.
Dia fantatrao tsara raha ohatra ianao ka hoe voafatitra io fahotana io dia hitany hoe zavatra tena lehibe eo amin'ny fiainanao io.
It becomes the big Goliath or the massive rock that is in front of you.
Lasa tahaka an'ilay vato be na ilay Goliata be eo anatrehanao ilay izy avy eo.
All other sin in your life is like put to the side. It's insignificant because this big thing exists.
Dia satria io fahotana lehibe anankiray io eo amin'ny fiainanao dia lasa tsy hitanao intsony ilay fahotana kelikely manodidina ny fiainanao.
And what happens as we leave those other sins? We allow them to grow and fester in the background.
Dia inona ny zava-doza anankiray rehefa avy eo rehefa tsy rarahintsika ilay fahotana kely memamaka ihany koa ilay miamtombo any ambadika any.
So instead of fighting sin on all fronts of our life, we just fight this one big
Ka raha
sin.
tokony hoe hiady amin'ny fahotana rehetrika amin'ny fiainantsika dia lasa io fahotana anankiray io lasa hifantohantsika.
When we listen to a message, we apply it to our struggle with porn.
Rehefa miantony tenitsika dia ampiaritsika ao anatin'ilay aditsika manoloana ny porno.
If somebody says, "How have you been spiritually this week? How's your spiritual walk been?"
Raha misy olona manontany hoe manahoana ny fiainam-panahinao tamin'ny herinandro iny,
We answer it in terms of how we've done with this addiction.
dia matetika ny amalitsika anazy hoe inona ny zavatra nataontsika nanoloana ny famatorana teo amin'ny fiainantsika io.
Other things are allowed to grow.
Zavatra hafa lasa mitombo.
I mean, there's probably laziness, worry,
mety lasa misy fahakamona ao aminao lasa misy fanahina,
impatience, gossip, anger,
lasa tsy manampaharetana ianao, mora tezitra ianao mitsiriritra ianao
all those things are just left to the side and are allowed to grow
reo zavatra hafa rehetrarehetra reo lasa makasisy ny ara-mitombo rehefa avy eo
because we're focusing all our energy on this one problem.
satria afantokontsika ao amin'ilay olana be anankiray io ihany mientsika manontolo.
Fourthly, it damages relationships.
Fa efatra manimba ny finamanana sy ny fifandraisana amin'olona.
Pornography leads us to objectify human beings.
Ny pornographie dia manosika antsika lasa ataontsika takan'ny objet na vondan-javatra ny olona.
People become objects that can be consumed.
Lasa objet ny olona zavatra hohanina fotsiny.
Pornography dehumanizes people.
Zany hoe ny pornographie dia manala ny maha-olombelona, manimba n'izay maha-olombelona eo amin'olona zay.
We no longer see people as created in the image of God.
Lasa tsy hitanao intsony ny olona takany hoe nohariana araka ny endrik'Andriamanitra.
We no longer see people as co-heirs of the promises of Christ.
Tsy hitanao intsony ny olona hoe mpiray lova amin'ny Kristy,
but rather as objects.
Fa lasa takany hoe zavatra.
Not thinking about their character, not thinking about their struggles.
Tsisy rarahinao ny olona ny zavatra manahirana azy.
Not thinking about who they've been created in God.
Tsisy rarahinao hoe noharian'Andriamanitra ho izy izy.
Reduced to one thing, and that's their physical attractiveness.
Fa lasa nahenanao amin'ilay zavatra tokana ihany izy hoe niara-nofony ihany.
It affects relationships because it isolates us.
Dia manimba ny fifandraisana ihany koa izy satria mampitoka monina antsika.
Because of the shame and the guilt, you tend to draw back from things.
No le fahafambaraka sy famenarana lasa ianao miafina mitokana.
You disengage from family.
Lasa tsy te miaraka amin'ny fianakaviana ianao.
You invest less in your marriage because you're finding other stuff in pornography.
Lasa tsy de miraharaha ny fanambadianao intsony ianao satria lasa varianao anatin'ny pornographie.
You begin to think that the degraded things that you're watching are actually acceptable.
Lasa manomboka mieritreritra ianao le zavatra tena hoe tsisy dika mijerevanao iny lasa zava-dehibe eo amin'ny fiainanao.
Things like multiple partners and having affairs outside of your marriage.
Ohatrany hoe miaraka amin'olona maromaro ianao mampirafy sisa lasa tsisy dikany aminao.
Fifthly, it leads to destruction.
Fahadimy miteraka fanombana.
Think about stories in the Bible.
Rehefa mieritreritra tantara ianao anaty Baiboly ao.
Because of sexual sin,
noho ny fijangajangana,
Samson lost his eyesight.
Samsona tsy nahita tsoka ny masony.
David lost his kingdom.
Davida very ny fanjakana.
Solomon gave his heart away.
Solomona nomeny ny olon-kafa ny fony.
And Damas in 2 Timothy 4:10.
Damas eo amin'ny Timoty faharoa efatra andiny fahafolo.
And use the word, he says he forfeited his soul.
Hoe nafoy ny ainy izy.
What will it cost you if you continue?
Inona ny zavatra miala eo amin'ny fiainanao raha mbola mitohy ianao?
What will it cost you if you continue?
Inona ny zavatra miala eo amin'ny fiainanao? Inona ny sarany raha mbola mitohy ianao anatin'ilay izy?
Colossians 3:6.
Kolosiana toko fahatelo andiny fahaenina.
It encourages us at 5 and 6, should I say?
Toko andiny fahadimy ka hatramin'ny fahaenina.
Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming.
Koa vonoiny momba ny tenanareo izay ety an-tany dia fitsangajangana, fahalotony, firetam-po, fanirian-dratsy ary fiheriemana dia fanompontsambo zany, fa izany zavatra izany no mahatonga ny fahatezeran'Andriamanitra amin'ny zanaka tsy fanarahana.
Revelations 21:8.
Apocalypse toko faharaiky amby roapolo andiny fahavalo.
It says, but the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolatries, and all the liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur.
Fa ny osa sy ny tsy mino, sy ny vetaveta, sy ny mpamonolona, sy ny mpitsangajanga, sy ny mpanao ody ratsy, sy ny mpanolona sampy ary ny mpanainga rehetra dia hanana ny anjarany ao anatin'ny fahariry rehetra afo sy solofara. Izany ny fahafatesana faharoa.
Scripture is clear. If we don't get victory over this thing,
mazava tsara soratra masina raha tsy rehetserentsika io,
the results can be devastating in your life.
dia tena hoe faharavana sy fahampitehana ny vokatr'izany amin'ny fiainanao.
As I always try and do, I want to make this message practical.
dia araka ny fanaovy dia tiako atao azotsika azo ampiarana tsara amin'ny toronteny androany.
If you or somebody you know is struggling, what can you say? What can they do to deal with this?
Raha hoe ianao ohatra hoe sahiranao anatin'izay na hoe misy namanao tena hoe mbola voafatotro ny pornografia,
What are some practical steps that you can implement?
inona dingana afaka raisinao afaka anampianao azy.
The first thing I want to say is maybe you're sitting here and you're not a Christian.
Dia zavatra tiako tenena voalohany ngamba ianao mipetraka eto mbola tsy kristiana.
Maybe you are thinking about this and you're going, yeah, I relate to a lot of those. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Ngamba ianao mety mipetraka eto dia fantako tsara ny tianao tenenina misy ifandraisana amin'ny fiainana.
And I want to change.
Dia te hiova nefa.
Can I encourage you to seriously consider giving your life to Christ?
Dia te hampahery anao te hampirisika hoe hatoloro amin'ny Kristy ny fiainanao.
It's my opinion that there probably won't be lasting change without the deep work of Christ in your life.
Hoe ny hevitra mitotro anao mety tsisy fiantraikany laliny eo amin'ny fiainanao raha tsy Andriamanitra no miasa eo amin'ny fiainanao.
John 15:5 says, "For apart from me, you can do nothing."
I Jona 15:15 dia manambara hoe raha misaraka amiko ianareo dia tsy mahay manao na inona na inona.
Come to Christ.
Manantona ny Kristy.
For those of us who are Christians
Ho antsika izay kristiana
or have been journeying with God for a long time or a little time,
na efa niarana mandeha tamin'Andriamanitra ianao nandritra amin'ny fotoana maro,
what are your next steps if this is what you're struggling with?
inona ny dingana tokony ho raisinao raha ohatra ianao mbola voafatotro io fahotana io?
I think there's two elements to this.
Dia misy élément anankiroa anatin'ilay izy.
The one is a practical element, the one is a spiritual element.
Ny anankiray dia ny zavatra azo ampianana pratika, dia ny anankiray zavatra ara-panahy.
Let's talk about practical first.
Dia ndao hiresaka ny amin'ny pratikitsika aloha.
Matthew 5:28.
Mateo 5:29.
Jesus' Sermon on the Mount.
Tamin'ny Jesosy ny toro-teny teo an-tendrombohitra.
Verses 27 to 30, he says this.
Dia ny 7 ka hatramin'ny 30.
You have heard it that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell.
Efa renareo efa voalaza hoe aza mitsangatsanga, fa za kosa milaza aminareo fa izay rehetra mijery vehivavy ilazy dia efa mitsangatsanga tamin'ny tampony sahady. Fa raha ny masonao ankavanana no manafy tohinanao dia isory ihany iny ka ary ho afaka aminao. Fa mahasoa anao na dia very aza ny iray momba ny tenanao ka tsy ny tenanao rehetra no harinany amin'ny hero. Ary raha ny tananao ankavanana no manafy tohananao dia tapao ka ary ho afaka aminao. Fa mahasoa anao na dia very aza ny iray momba ny tenanao ka tsy ny tenanao rehetra no lasa ho any amin'ny hero.
This scripture is encouraging us to take radical action.
Ty soratra masina ty dia mampirisika antsika tena hoe hanao hetsika tena lehibe.
You can't read it literally, cut off your hand or gouge out your eye.
Tsy afaka vakinao arabaky tena akory izy hoe dia tapahako ny tanako na dia trondromiko ny masoko.
You'll find another way to access the internet without a hand, I promise you.
Satria na tsy manana tanana ianao mahita fika foana ianao hijerevana internet.
What it's calling us, huh? The one eye might help.
Na masonao ihany koa.
But it's calling us to take radical action. This is serious.
Fa tena matotra be ilay zavatra angatahany amintsika.
It's going to kill you if you don't take radical action.
Raha tsy manahy mandray fanapahan-kevitra ianao sy manao hetsika goavana dia animba moa io.
Take extreme precaution.
Mandraisana fipetra lalina.
Deal with it.
Hiatreo ilay izy.
Let me give you some suggestions.
Dia reto misy hevitra vitsivitsy.
Number one, give away your smartphone if this is something you're struggling with. Sell it.
Voalohany indrindra raha sahirana ianao amin'ny telefona na amin'ny dio iny.
Downgrade to one of those little nice ones that don't have any internet access.
Le telefona tsara tarehy tsisy internet connexion reny vidiny.
That only has text and phone call ability.
Afahanao mandefa SMS sy miantso fotsiny.
Put search filters on your computer.
Dia miinstaleva ihany koa filtre na recherche ao anatin'ny fikarohanao ao anaty projet.
That will help you to block that content that isn't great.
Reny manampy anao ibloquer ny zavatra tsy tokony jerenao.
There's accountability software, which means if you surf in the net and you search a questionable site, it's going to send a report to a friend of yours.
Misy application maromaro ihany koa miaro anao zany hoe iny application iny rehefa misy zavatra tadiavinao dia tonga ny amin'ny namanao le izy hoe mitady ty zavatra ty raha namana.
If you've got that, you're going to think twice about going to look, because you know your buddy and your whoever it is going to
dia
know.
manana an'ireny application ireny anao dia mahatonga manomboka mieritreritra hoe handetranao an'ity anao tonga dia fantatra ry zalahy hoe jery kay.
Get appropriate accountability in your life.
manana accountability mazava eo amin'ny fiainanao.
I told you that you can't deal with this on your own. You really cannot.
Araky ny amanteneko toetra tsy vitanao miady rery, tsy vitanao io.
You need to share it with a trusted friend.
Mila misokatra amin'ny namanao izay atokisanao ianao dia zaraina ho aminy ny olanao.
Preferably somebody who doesn't struggle with this themselves.
Dia tena tsara tsy hoe olona mitovy aretina aminao kory ny anatonanao.
And you need to find out a way that works for you to hold each other accountable, to be the one that's asking those questions.
Dia mila mitady fomba nareo hoe ina ny afahana mifanampy ao anatin'ilay izy avelanao izy manontany anao.
And why I use the word appropriate
Dina mahatonga na mampiasa an'ilay hoe approprié
is because if you're unmarried, going to share this with a girl that is not your wife is just inappropriate.
mahatonga na miteny ilay hoe approprié raha ohatra ianao mbola tsy manambady a dia resaka amina vehivavy mbola tsy manambady hoe za manana fahasahirana tahaka izao dia sahirana eo ianao.
It's too much of a burden for them to carry.
Lasa enta mavesatra ho any zareo le izy.
It's going to change their perception of you.
Anomba ny fieviny anao le izy.
And it's just inappropriate.
Dia zay le tena keto tsy any amin'ny tokony ho izy misy azy.
However, if you're married, yes, your wife is an appropriate accountability.
Raha manambady nefa ny anao dia mivadinao ny anisan'ny tena miaro anao tsara.
It's going to hurt her when
Mety
she
hanimba anazy, mety hampalahelo anazy.
but she can hold you accountable. She can journey with you.
Fa izy afaka manampy anao hiady amin'ny olanao iny.
He can journey with you if you're struggling as a woman.
Dia raha ohatra ianao vehivavy dia ny vadinao ihany koa afaka miara-mandeha aminao, afaka manampy anao izy eo anatin'izay.
Romans 12:2
Romana 12:2
says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind."
aza manaraka ny fanao izao tontolo izao fa miovà ny fanavozana ny saina.
Another practical, very simple practical way that I came across
Pratika zavatra pratika tonga atao tsaiko
in my research is 3 things: bounce, starve, kick.
dia tao anatin'ny fikarohako misy an'ilay hoe
Bounce, starve,
bounce ianao mitontontona dia minona
and kick.
dia mandaka.
What do I mean?
Inona tiako tenena amin'ireo zavatra anankitelo ireo?
Bounce.
Le bounce
Bounce your eyes.
dika le bounce dia ahodoniny masonao.
First of all, guys, the 2 things that you can look at, ladies, is their face and their shoes.
Ry lehilahy ny zavatra anankiroa afaka jerevanao amin'ny vehivavy dia ny tarehany sy ny kiraro.
Don't gaze at their chest when you're looking at them. It's
Aza
inappropriate.
tratra dia amin'ny fomba tsy mety.
Okay? What do I mean? If you see a beautiful girl
Tiako tenena mahita vehivavy tsara terenao mandalo
and your eyes go there,
dia mandeha amin'ny masonao
bounce your eyes back.
dia averenao mitarehany ny masonao.
Okay, so bounce your eyes. Don't just.
Fa aiza talanjo le fosiny
It's inappropriate.
tsy mety zany.
Bounce your eyes. Starve.
Le stap fandray
What do I mean is, if you find that looking at women's magazines leads you to other things,
raha ohatra hoe ianao mijery magazine misy vehivavy ino mitarika anao amina zavatra hafa,
get them out of your house.
alio any.
If it's the internet, stop using the
Raha
internet.
ny internet ny olanao dia aza mampiasa.
If it's a specific time of the day that you know you're susceptible to this thing, know yourself and don't go there.
Raha ohatra ka fantatra ianao amin'ny fotoana manokana entinao tena susceptible be dia aza makany.
And lastly, kick.
Farany takao
Kick your thoughts.
ovainy ny eritreretanao.
Often we wrestle with our head around these things.
Ndraindray ao anatin'ny lohantsika ao misy ady be sy korotana manoloana an'izany.
When you see something, be it a person or a picture, whatever, and your head starts to go, oh, and what's the word? Elaborate on that image.
Raha ohatra ianao mijery sary na mijery film na mieritreritra olona anankiray dia manomboka manitatra ny sainao.
Kick that thought out of your head.
Dia asolo anatin'ny sainao ovainy ny zavatra eritreretanao.
Maybe you memorize a scripture and say that scripture.
Ngamba ianao mianara manao tsenjery soratra masina dia averen'ny tany saina le soratra masina nataonao tsenjery.
Maybe you just turn your mind or your thought to God.
Na tonga dia atotio amin'Andriamanitra ny zavatra eritreretanao.
Whatever it is.
Ninona zavatra azonao atao.
That's the practical.
Zay le pratika.
Let me finish with the
Ny
spiritual.
amaranaka anazy dia ny ara-panahy.
The real problem with pornography is that it is idolatry.
Ny tena olana lehibe amin'ny pornografia
That is-
satria sampy le izy.
That's the root here.
Zay ny tena hoe fotony.
We can do all the practical things to try and build walls around us, and we're actually not going to ever conquer it.
Afaka manisy rindrina ianao manao zavatra mpahazonao pratikena rehetrarehetra ianao fa tsy mahomby lavitra reny.
Because the cause, the root is still there.
Satria mbola eo le faka mangidy, le fakany.
When we choose pornography over Jesus Christ,
Rehefa misafidy ianao ny pornografia mihoatra noho Jesosy Kristy,
we're serving created things rather than the Creator Himself.
lasa manompo an'le zavatra noariana ianao fa tsy ilay mpahary.
We're believing that this sin can bring us greater joy than God is capable.
Mino ianao sy mieritreritra fa ity fahotananao ty ny afaka mampifaly aminao no Andriamanitra.
We're believing the lie that Jesus Christ cannot satisfy. We need this other thing.
Mino ianao an'le laika hoe Jesosy Kristy tsy mahafa-po anao fa mila zavatra hafa ianao hanampy azy.
So, in terms of the spiritual side, Thomas Chalmers, a man that lived I think he died in 1847 actually.
Fijery ara-panahy misy an'izay lehilahy zay Thomas Chalmers.
He wrote a book, and it was actually a sermon that he did, The Expulsive Power of a Greater Affection. So the greater affection is able to push out the other one.
Dia misy toriteny nambara an'izay hoe misy hery manosika amina zavatra misarika amin'ny fonao kokoa.
If we're going to overcome this affection, pornography,
Raha ohatra ka tianao hotoherina le zavatra, le pornografia, le fitiavanao amin'ny pornografia,
in order to displace it, we need to put something else there.
dia mba hahafahanao manala an'io ao dia mila omenao zavatra tsara kokoa solona.
You've got to put God there. You've got to put God there.
Mila Andriamanitra ny apetraka ao eo.
You've got to put the gospel there.
Mila apetraka ao eo ny filazantsara.
The finished work of Jesus Christ on the cross for you.
Ilay asan'i Jesosy Kristy vita ho anao teo amin'ny hazo fijaliana.
Purchasing your salvation.
Ilay nandony sara ny famonjenao.
Paying for your sins in full.
Nandony sara ny fahotanao feno.
Rendering you righteous before God.
Hoe ianao dia marina eo anatrehan'Andriamanitra.
Through nothing that you've done and everything that Jesus
Tsy
did.
misy ninona zavatra nataonao fa ny zavatra rehetra dia Jesosy no nahatanteraka azy.
Ponder that. Meditate on it.
Sainosaino zany dinio.
Focus on what God has done through His Son Jesus Christ for you.
Ifampitohy sainosaino ny zavatra nataon'Andriamanitra tamin'ny alalan'ny zanany teo amin'ny hazo fijaliana ho anao.
And the implications and what that means for your life.
Sy ny fiantraikan'izany eo amin'ny fiainanao.
And how beautiful that is.
Sy tena hoe tena tsara zany.
Galatians 5.
Galatiana 5:5.
Verses 1, it says, For freedom, it is for freedom that Christ has set you free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by the yoke of slavery.
Ho amin'ny fahafahana ny manafaha Kristy antsika ka tomera tsara fa zay mety ho azon'ny ziogan'ny fanandevozana intsony.
Jesus has set us free through the finished work on the cross.
Efa nafahan Jesosy tsika tamin'ny alalan'ny asany teo amin'ny hazo fijaliana.
We find freedom in Him.
Mahita fahafahana ao aminy isika.
When we go back to pornography and other sins, we lock ourselves back in slavery to
Rehefa
sin.
miverina any anatin'ny pornografia tsika dia miverina mamatotra ny tenantsika indray ao ambany fanandevozan'ny fahotana.
Find that only Jesus can satisfy.
Dia aoka ianao ahita fa Jesosy reny ihany no afaka mahamoky anao, afaka mahafa-po anao.
We sang a line this morning, nothing in this world can satisfy. Jesus, you're the cup that won't run dry.
Irantsika androany maraina teo tsy misy ninona eto amin'izao tontolo izao afaka mamoky anahy fa ianao reny ihany Jesosy no mamia anahy le kaopy tsy mety ritra.
Oh, may that be true for us.
Engany mba ho marina ho antsika izany.
May that be true for us.
Engany ho marina ho antsika izany.
One last comment is, in this battle, it's often not a switch that you can flick.
Dia farany ao anatin'ity ady ty tsy hoe interrupteur potserina koa izy io.
And so, as you're on this road to purity and as you stumble,
Iatỳ andalana ho any amin'ny fahamasinana ianao rehefa sendra tafitohana.
be quick to come back to God.
Dia oka ianao ho mailaka hiverina amin'Andriamanitra.
Be quick to repent and pick up your weapons and continue to fight this thing.
Oka ianao ho mailaka hibebaka dia hiaka ny ady ianao dia hanohatra an'io.
God is there, He's paid for that sin. Go back to Him quickly.
Satria eo Andriamanitra izy efa nandony sara amin'ny fahotanao, miverena aminy avy hatrany.
repent.
Mipipa.
Fix your eyes on Him.
Ampandinio aminy, ampifatohy aminy masonao.
And I end off with a little kid's song that I thought about this morning.
Dia ny amin'ny azy dia misy hirana sekolela zay tonga tatao an-tsaiko anao maraina.
Talking about this greater affection
Miresaka ny amin'ny fitiavana lehibe io
of what God has done through His Son Jesus
ny amin'ny
Christ.
zavatra nataon'Andriamanitra tamin'ny alalan'i Jesosy
I don't know if
Kristy.
there's a Malagasy version, but in English it says this: turn your eyes upon Jesus.
Dia tsy haiko raha misy amin'ny teny gasy izy ity fa ny zavatra teny hoe ampitodio amin'ny Jesosy ny masonao.
Look full in His wonderful face,
Tena hoe mpanjiny ny tavany mahafinaritra.
and the things of this world will grow strangely dim
Dia rehefa manao an'izany ianao dia lasa mihamaivana mihatakona amin'ny zavatra zao tontolo zao.
in the light of His glory and grace.
Noho ny fahazavany vonany sy ny fahasoavana.
Can I pray for us?
Ndao hivavaka tsika.
God, you know us, each of us sitting in this room intimately.
Andriamanitra fantatrao tsara ny atsipiriany izay tsiraray aminy reketo.
God, I pray that you would be speaking to us if this is something that we're struggling with, or if this is an area that you want us to deal with in our lives.
Mivavaka Andriamanitra mba ianao no hamango ny fonay raha hoe voafatotro zany zavatra amresanay zany izy amboany.
God, bring conviction as to how this doesn't please you.
Tena reseo lahatra zay Andriamanitra hoe tsy mahafinaritra anao zany.
Give us a revelation of the destruction that pornography can cause in our lives.
Omeo fanambarany izay ny amin'ny voka-dratsin'ny pornografia eo amin'ny fiainanay.
God, and I end off with that kid's song. Help us to turn our eyes upon you, Jesus.
Andriamanitra na mananako azy dia le hira teo hoe ampio izahay ampifantoka ny masonay aminao
Help
Jesosy.
us to look full in your wonderful face.
Ampio zay ho banjana sy variana hijery ny tavanao mahafinaritra.
And as we do that, meet with us, I pray.
Dia ao anatin'ny fanaovana an'izany Andriamanitra ho ianao iona aminay.
May you increase, may the things of the world and pornography decrease.
Engany ianao Andriamanitra hitombo bebe kokoa anatin'ny lohanay fa ny zavatra manelingelanay eto amin'izao tontolo izao na ny pornografia hiena ny ny fisintoman'izany anay.
May they grow dim in the light of your glory and grace.
Engany mba hitsolopolopo reny ao anatrihan'ny fahazavanao sy ny fahasoavanao.
God, I also just pray for those in this room that are struggling with this.
Dia mivavaka ihany koa Andriamanitra ho an'ny olona izay mety hoe mbola voafatotro zany ato anatin'ity efitrano ity.
Right now, in the spiritual realm, give them a boldness to fight this.
Mangataka Andriamanitra amin'ny fiainam-panahin'izy ireo, nomeo fahasahina izy ireo hanoerany amin'izany.
Give them an assurance of who they are in you as sons and daughters of the living God.
Nomeo fahazonaniko izy ireo hoe zanakao izy ireo ao aminao Andriamanitra.
And I pray practically that you would be speaking to them about what the next step in this journey is, and for them to have the courage to do it soon, if not today, this week.
Dia mivavaka ihany koa Andriamanitra ianao no ampatsiazy ny zavatra azon'zareo atao hiadivany amin'izany ary andray dingana ampasahina izy ireo farak'izay aingana.
God, break chains this morning.
Ohatra ianao andrava ny fatorana ambany maraina tompoko.
You came to set us free.
Ianao dia tonga hanafaka anay.
Help us to live in the righteousness that you have bought for us.
Ampio zay mba hiainao amin'ilay fahamarinana nomenao anay.
We ask this in Jesus' name.
Dia amin'ny anaran'i Jesosy ny angatahana an'izany.
Amen.
Amen.
Just this morning when I was praying over this subject, I just felt like God gave me a picture of He's wanting to shine His light onto each of us, and it's like a shaft of light coming onto us.
Dia tamin'izako tamaraina nivavaka ho an'ny loha hevitra androany dia nahita sary zay ohatrany hoe misy fahazavan'Andriamanitra tonga eo amin'ny fiainantsika.
But that some of us are wearing caps.
Fa ny sasany amintsika nefany manao kasikety.
And we're happy for God's presence to land on our shoulders, but we just want to keep some hidden.
Dia faly isika hoe mitaratra ety amin'ny solokitsika ety ny fahazavan'Andriamanitra fa ny sasany eo amin'ny fiainantsika rakofantsika ihany nefany.
But that God's wanting us to take off the hat and let His presence just fall on us and to give us freedom from these kind of things.
Fa Andriamanitra nefa tiana isika manalokaloka eo amin'ny fiainantsika iny satria tia hamenao antsika amin'ny fanatrehany izy.
that we're able to confess it to Him and let Him shine His light on us, even in this area.
Satria na teo amin'io lafiny resahantsika teo iny ary dia hoe vony ianao nanatona an'Andriamanitra hiaiky ny fahotanao aminy ary amela azy hitaratra eo amin'ny fiainanao.
So I'm just going to pray for us.
Dia mbola tia hivavaka ao antsika ihany ary.
God, I just pray that you would shine your light into our lives.
Mivavaka Andriamanitra mba ianao anie ampazava ny fahazavanao eo amin'ny fiainanay.
God, we also pray that you would give us courage to show you these things that are hidden from you.
Mangataka ihany koa Andriamanitra izahay ame fahasahina izahay mba teny hoe tsy hanafinafina ny zavatra fieninay aminao.
Or not hidden, but we're trying to hide them from you.
Na zavatra mety hoe ezahanay hafienina aminao.
That we would allow you access to all areas of our life.
Mba tena hoe haviranay eny ianao Andriamanitra hiditra malalaka amin'ny lafim-piainanay rehetra.
God, that you would restore us to you.
Ianao anie no hamerina anay ao aminao.
And that you would fill us, God.
Ary fenoy izahay Andriamanitra.
Please.
Izany no angatahanay. Amen. Amen.